Orlando, Florida, a place of magic, sunshine, and family fun. But, beneath the surface, a darkness lurks, a history stained with true crime. From serial killers to shocking trials, Orlando has seen its share of horror. And no case haunts the city quite like the disappearance of Caylee Anthony. This isn't just another story, it's a wound on Orlando's heart, a chilling reminder that evil can hide in plain sight. The case that gripped a nation, divided families, and left an unforgettable mark on everyone who followed it. The year was 2008. The world watched as a young mother became the center of a media firestorm. Her name, Caylee Anthony. Her crime, the alleged murder of her own daughter Caylee. This is the story of a family torn apart, a community desperate for answers, and a case that continues to spark debate and outrage to this day. Caylee Marie Anthony. A bright-eyed little girl with a contagious smile. At just 2 years old, she became the face of a tragedy that shook Orlando to its core. It was July 2008 when Caylee was last seen alive. Her disappearance, a mystery that would unravel over the coming weeks and months. 31 days passed. 31 agonizing days before Caylee's grandmother, Cindy Anthony, reported her missing. The delay, a red flag that fueled suspicion and launched 1,000 questions. Where was Caylee, and why hadn't her mother reported her missing? The story that unfolded was stranger than fiction. Caylee Anthony, a young mother with a penchant for partying and a history of lies, became the prime suspect. Police uncovered a disturbing trail of inconsistencies in her stories. Her car, reeking of the smell of death. Her demeanor, detached and emotionless. As the investigation deepened, so did the public's fascination. Orlando, a city built on dreams, became consumed by a nightmare. Search parties scoured the area. Candlelight vigils illuminated the night. Hope dwindled with each passing day. The evidence against Caylee Anthony mounted. Lies about a fictitious nanny, fabricated stories about Caylee's whereabouts, and most damning of all, the discovery of Caylee's remains just a short distance from the Anthony family home. The prosecution painted a picture of a callous young woman suffocated by the responsibilities of motherhood, who chose to silence her daughter rather than face the consequences of her actions. They argued that Caylee, desperate for freedom, disposed of Caylee's body like trash, and then spun a web of lies to cover her tracks. The defense, however, offered a different narrative. They claimed that Caylee's death was a tragic accident, a drowning in the family pool that Caylee, out of fear and panic, tried to conceal. They portrayed Caylee as a flawed but loving mother, a victim of circumstance caught in a web of police manipulation and public scrutiny. The nation watched, captivated and horrified as the details of the case unfolded. Opinions were sharply divided. Was Caylee Anthony a cold-blooded killer or a distraught mother who made a terrible mistake? The answer, it seemed, lay somewhere in the shadows of doubt. The trial of Caylee Anthony became a media spectacle. Cameras crowded the courtroom, broadcasting every twist and turn to a captivated audience. Legal analysts dissected every piece of evidence, every witness testimony, every gesture from the defendant. Inside the courtroom, the prosecution presented a case built on circumstantial evidence. They argued that Caylee's behavior, her lies, and the forensic evidence pointed to her guilt. They called witness after witness, attempting to dismantle Caylee's credibility and expose the truth behind her carefully constructed facade. The defense, on the other hand, relentlessly attacked the prosecution's case, highlighting inconsistencies in the evidence and raising questions about the police investigation. They argued that the state had failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Caylee had murdered her daughter. They implored the jury to consider the possibility of an accident, a tragic event that spiraled out of control. Outside the courtroom, the public was on trial too. The case ignited a firestorm of debate, dividing families and strangers alike. Social media became a battleground for opinions, with armchair detectives dissecting every detail and proclaiming Caylee's guilt or innocence with unwavering certainty. The lines between justice and vengeance blurred. Section 5. The verdict: not guilty, a nation incensed. After weeks of testimony, the jury reached a verdict: not guilty of murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter. Caylee Anthony was, however, found guilty on 4 misdemeanor counts of providing false information to law enforcement. The nation erupted. Protests broke out outside the courthouse. The verdict, met with disbelief and outrage, sparked a national conversation about reasonable doubt, the justice system, and the role of the media in shaping public opinion. How could a mother, whose daughter's remains were found just yards from her home, walk free? The prosecution, visibly shaken, maintained their belief in Casey's guilt, expressing disappointment in the jury's decision. The defense, on the other hand, triumphant, declared victory, proclaiming that justice had been served. But for many, there was no sense of closure, no feeling of resolution. The question of what truly happened to Caylee Anthony lingered, a haunting reminder of a life cut short and a truth seemingly lost forever. Released from jail shortly after the verdict, Casey Anthony stepped into a world that both reviled and remained fixated on her. She was, in the eyes of many, the most hated woman in America. Her face, plastered across newspapers and television screens, became synonymous with suspicion and distrust. She attempted to rebuild her life, living under the radar, changing her name, and avoiding the spotlight. But the shadow of the case followed her. The public, hungry for answers, and fueled by a mixture of fascination and anger, refused to let her fade into obscurity. In recent years, Casey Anthony has made tentative attempts to re-enter public life. She has given interviews, participated in documentaries, and even joined social media platforms, seeking to control her own narrative and perhaps to find some semblance of normalcy in a world that continues to judge her. The Casey Anthony case, with its haunting details and unsatisfying conclusion, exemplifies our cultural obsession with true crime. Why are we so drawn to stories of murder, mystery, and mayhem? Why do we devour podcasts, binge-watch documentaries, and attend true crime conventions? Perhaps it's the thrill of the unknown, the desire to solve the puzzle, to unmask the killer and restore order to a chaotic world. Perhaps it's a way to confront our own fears, to peer into the darkness and emerge unscathed, grateful that it wasn't us. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a way to connect with others who share our morbid curiosity, to find community in the macabre, and to remind ourselves that even in the darkest corners of humanity, there is always a story to be told. CrimeCon, a convention dedicated to all things true crime, has become a cultural phenomenon. Thousands of attendees, mostly women, flock to these events to hear from experts, meet their favorite podcasters, and immerse themselves in the world of forensic science, criminal psychology, and unsolved mysteries. At CrimeCon 2023, held in Orlando, the specter of the Casey Anthony case loomed large. Attendees debated the evidence, speculated on Casey's guilt or innocence, and discussed the case's lasting impact on the true crime community. The convention, a testament to our enduring fascination with the dark side of humanity, highlighted the ways in which true crime has become a cultural touchstone, a source of entertainment, and a platform for social commentary. The Casey Anthony case, even years later, continues to fascinate and frustrate. It serves as a stark reminder that the justice system, while striving for fairness, doesn't always deliver the answers we crave. It highlights the limitations of evidence, the complexities of human behavior, and the enduring power of doubt. Did Casey Anthony commit the unthinkable? The question remains unanswered, a haunting echo in the annals of true crime. Her case, a cautionary tale, reminds us that truth can be elusive, justice can be fickle, and the monsters among us often wear the most unexpected faces. Caylee Anthony's legacy, however, extends beyond the courtroom and the headlines. Her story serves as a reminder to cherish the innocent, to fight for justice for the vulnerable, and to never ever stop seeking the truth, no matter how painful it may be. For in the pursuit of justice, we honor the victims, confront the darkness, and strive to create a safer world for all. If stories like this captivate you, subscribe to our channel for more true crime tales. Together, let's uncover the truth and honor the memories of those we've lost.